here with singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist, Professor Louie. Nice to have you with us, Louie. Did you want me to call you Louie?
Yeah, Louie's great, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much.
Great,
Absolutely,
great.
Tony, it's great.
It's wonderful to have you with us, and it's great to have you as a Music Legacy member as well. So, Louie, Music Legacy, we've got artists from beginner to pros like yourself, and I always like to pull you back to where it all began. Where was your interest in music? Where did that stem from?
Well, it really stemmed from, I grew up in Peekskill, New York, which is not that far from where you are right now. And they had a great music department even when we were young kids in the elementary school district. They came one day, maybe we were in second or third grade, and said, what instrument would you like to play? And gave us an option to choose an instrument. And they handed them out, and we were able to bring them home and practice, and they had lessons every day, and it started it, and we had a great music teacher. So, it was just really a nice situation.
Yeah.
I'm just changing something here. So anyway, that's what got me started in music to begin with, and it continued throughout my stay in school in Peekskill, New York, where there was just a fantastic music department. And then from there, we started playing out live and having a good time and playing all kinds of shows. And I always listened to the radio and watched all the musical acts on television, and it was just a great experience growing up.
Yeah, we were lucky in our time growing up with all of the great things, FM radio. I remember when I was a kid, it was just basically AM, and then all of a sudden FM started taking over. And like you said, all the music in the schools, great teachers, it's always a plus.
That's where it all started. And originally, I think I just had an AM radio, and I loved the AM radio because you heard the hits, and late at night you heard the gospel music, which you realized that's where maybe the hits were coming from.
Yeah, it was stemming from that.
That's right, yeah. And there is a picture I sent you that reflects my time in the gospel field.
Oh, great.
There, a picture of the Mighty Gospel Giants, which we can discuss later, that I traveled the world with playing gospel music.
Excellent. Yeah, what we'll do is we'll edit in pictures of any of those clips that you sent me.
And bring that up. That's a good picture. It's an interesting picture.
Excellent. So now tell me about now. What are your plans and where you're going to be? If somebody wants to come see you.
Thanks for asking that, because we want to stay modern, we want to stay contemporary, and we're still moving forward.
Excellent.
Right now, I have the group Professor Louie and the Chromatics. It's a fantastic band with Miss Marie, my lifelong partner, a singer, songwriter, and performer. And then we have Todd Myhan, who's a fantastic guitar player, Frankie C. on bass, who was Levon Helm's music director with the Woodstock All-Stars. And we have sort of a moving drumming situation because we're on the road a lot, and some of the drummers have some major shows. Dan Hickey, who comes from Long Island, who was with Might As Well Be Giants, he's on a lot of the recording, so he's a lot sometimes on the road with other people, but he still plays with us live. And then we have Eric Puente, the drummer, who's a great drummer, playing with us live. And Tom Curiano, who's out there, he's playing with us live. So we have, the drumming seat sort of moves around because we are on the road a lot, and that's just the way it is. But we just recently, this year, 2025, just put out a brand new CD called Crowing Around, and it's been up to about 190 radio stations throughout the country. We're playing all the songs live, and we've been doing TV shows from Lexington to Kentucky all the way up to Canada, performing on television and radio. So that's an exciting thing for us to have a new record happening that much. We were #1 on the Relics Jam Band charts for about 5 or 6 weeks, and we're still on that chart. Nice. I think it's been on that chart for about 14 weeks, besides the AAA and some Americana charts. So it's an exciting time for us.
That is exciting. A lot of good things going on.
Yeah, it is.
Now, we're talking right now from the CBS affiliate, Drake Media, on Long Island in New York. And we're actually trying to get moving forward on some live events out of the studio here. And
Great.
any of the events that we're recording, whether they're interviews or live shows, we're going to try and include those in the show. So this is something that I'll be working on the next few months. So we'll have
That's
to
really
keep
good,
in touch
Tony.
about that.
We do a lot of public television shows that are out. We've done them from out in South Dakota. We had a big show that we do for CBS 6 in Albany, out of Albany, New York, where it's a big Christmas show that has 3,000-4,000 people a night come to the Proctor's Theater, and then it airs on television. And so this is a great thing you're doing. So we love doing that. There's WVIA public television down in Scranton. We do that quite a bit. So public television has been great for us, and the CBS affiliates have really helped us immensely.
Great, that's wonderful. Now, are the Woodstock Horns touring with you on this trip?
Well, what we do with the Woodstock Horns, they play 50-50 shows with us. Sometimes the places, performances we play, the stages may not be large enough or whatever. So we try to split it up and make sure it spreads out. So when we go to play People's Pub down in Bayport, which I think we finally figured out is October 11th, we will not have the Woodstock Horns, but the show is still exciting and real good. Sometimes it just doesn't accommodate so much, but when we did play the Bolton Center in Long Island, we did use the Woodstock Horns via the Uptown Horns.
That's why I asked.
On October 11th, we'll just do the Bayport show by ourselves, People's Pub, Professor Louie and the Chromatics, which actually sometimes is a little more spontaneous, because when we're with the horn section, you have to sort of stick to the horn charts, because when we play band music, I was the keeper of the band charts when I was with the band for 17 years. And I have all the original band charts.
Oh, wow.
So, we got to stick to those charts sometimes. And we have our own charts for our own music, too. But this way we can be a little more flexible. And somebody in the audience may call out a song and we can just play them without shuffling 500 charts for each.
Yeah.
Not a little exaggeration. But we do have probably 100 arrangements. And they're all in the book. So it's hard to be spontaneous with changing songs around too much.
Yeah. Now, your studio in Woodstock, is that open for anybody to record with you, or is it basically for yourself? Okay.
No, it is. Well, it's in Hurley, New York, which is 15 minutes from Woodstock.
Right.
And it is open to the public. However, it's quite booked. Luckily, I'm still producing a lot of other artists, which is fantastic. And then other engineers, because, Woodstock's a very big recording area, and there's a lot of great studios here, and sometimes they're all overbooked. So we all go to different, sometimes I can't even get in my studio and go to another studio. So it is busy, but it is open for business. And you can find us, just email me at louieher@aol.com, and we can set something up or figure out where the best place to go. Sometimes I like sharing the other studios. It's a good thing to do, and tell people, well, if this studio's good for you, what you need to have, and you can get in there in your time frame.
Oh, that's great that you have keep in contact with the other studios. That's great.
Oh, yeah, all the engineers are all good friends of mine. Absolutely.
Right.
I've been up here for so many years, and they've all been engineered in my studio before they had their own, a lot of them.
So, I think we talked about it previously, but Woodstock was that was my old stomping grounds. The Pinecrest Lodge.
The Pinecrest Lodge, great place. We used to play there all the time. Gizmo and all of us were there with the pool table. Yes.
Yeah.
As we would call it years ago, the Pine Crust.
Yes.
But that was a late night hang after your gigs.
Yeah. I had meals with several great artists there. It was a fun hangout. Yeah.
That was a good time when that was open.
So now let's talk more about this new. You have a new recording, right?
Yes. Yeah. Crawling around.
Yeah. And so talk a little bit about that and what you'll be doing on the tour as far as the music that you'll be doing.
Okay, that's great, Tony. Thanks for asking. Crawling Around, which you have the cover, so that's nice, is a record that we worked on for maybe 10 months different ways. And the opening track, which is called Elevate Yourself, which has gotten the most attention on the radio stations and live, Gotta keep on a good track. Don't wanna lose your mind. Gotta do what's best. Got a Jones coming. It's a hell of a wreck. Say now. Elevate yourself, 'cause there's a new world horizon. Elevate yourself, 'cause there's a new world horizon. You got the right. Was the first one we really put down and recorded, which set the tone of the CD. Positive lyrics, positive message, great horn section on it, great spontaneous playing, an original song. And once we had that together, we knew that that was the direction we wanted to put the whole CD in. And what we thought we would do was put some songs, some cover songs in there, because I like recording cover songs. I like playing them live, obviously, because it's good to mix your shows up to tune people into your originals. Yeah. If you play some covers, sometimes people will pay more attention to your original songs. And what we decided we would do is we would play songs of artists that I produced over time and pick some songs from each art or from 2 or 3 artists that I produced. So besides our original songs, which are all upbeat and up-tempo, there's a few that are not quite. But we played a song by the band. We decided we would do Rag Mama Rag,
cool.
Which we used to play with Levon Helm when it was Levon Helm and the Chromatics. And when I was with the band, we always played those. We would call those the chestnuts, the old songs, the songs that I created with the band on their last 3 records in the 90s. They weren't considered the chestnuts at the time. The old songs were considered the chestnuts, so we did a chestnut Rag Mama Rag. And then I figured, well, let's do some other artists that I produced, like Commander Cody. I produced maybe 3 or 4 songs with the Commander, played a live show with him. And since we were on an upbeat, of course, most of his songs were upbeat. Since we were on an upbeat, thought about the lyrics, we decided we would record Too Much Fun. Way you small town clown, this country boy has come to town. So-called went to Omaha, trying to stay ahead of the law. Cops stop me here, so what they've done, put me in jail for having too much fun. Because we played that a lot, and I think I'm on probably 3 or 4 versions of his live shows that came out as records. So we did a Commander Cody song. And then we did a Graham Parker song, because Graham and I worked a lot together. And I produced a few Graham Parker records. Actually, there was one record I think me and Graham did pretty much as a duo. And so we did one Graham Parker song, and Miss Marie sang it, called Stick to the Plan, which is a very contemporary song and a great rockin' song. The lyrics tongue-in-cheek, because that's the only way Graham writes.
Yeah. And
then because I had worked when I was with the band for so many years, and we would play places like Madison Square Garden with Bob and the Blue Jean Bash, we recorded one Bob Dylan song. We played the Madison Square Garden birthday party with Bob, which was a great experience. And when I produced Blind Willie McTell, that was a challenge, because that was a Bob Dylan song. And when I worked with the band, that was the first Bob Dylan song they had recorded in 17 years or 18 years. So we know we couldn't mess that up. So we recorded a Bob Dylan song, Watching the River Flow. That's on the record also. And one more cover song we did by Moondog. And if you're not familiar with Moondog, he was a classical composer that stood on 57th Street when I used to go drive a cab in New York in the late 60s, early 70s. There would be a guy standing on the corner of 57th Street dressed up in a Vikings outfit, very big guy who appeared to be blind, and I think he was partially blind. And he would just stand on the corner and I guess ask for money. I'm not sure, but when I drove a cab, I would get a lot of fares that would stop on 57th and 7th or 8th. And finally, I asked him if he wanted a ride. The guy was just standing there and got in the cab, and we started talking, and it turns out he was a classical composer with records out on Columbia Records.
Oh, wow.
And said that he was good friends with Charlie Parker, and he hung out with all the jazz guys, and wrote a tune called Bird's Lament about Charlie Parker. And so I checked it out, and it's an amazing piece of music. He eventually moved to Europe and became a cult figure in Europe. And he was telling me he grew up, I'm not sure where he grew up, maybe in metropolitan area, but he moved out west. And his drums that he'd used on the songs were always hypnotic type of Indian drums. And so on this record, Crowing Around, we decided to do a Moondog song called Bird's Lament. And I had the great Larry Packer, a violinist, come in the studio. Larry was the violinist in The Last Waltz and played with Cat Mother and played 53 shows with Jimi Hendrix when Larry was the guitarist. Now he's mostly a violinist and still plays with us here and there. He's on the record playing Bird's Lament with myself and the accordion as the lead. So that's the record. Then we got some great original songs. I really enjoy them. They all work live. So we're playing on this tour. We're playing most of the songs off the Crowing Around record. And then we're playing, of course, the band Chestnuts. And then we play the songs that I produced with the band that became quite popular, like Atlantic City and Blind Willie McTell, and certain unknown ones that are becoming more and more popular called Book Faded Brown and songs like that, which are just great songs to play, and A Few Muddy Waters that the band recorded. So we play some of those, and then we'll play some History of the Blues songs, which I enjoy doing, and maybe some rockers by some other famous artists. So maybe by the Grateful Dead, because, I was fortunate enough being with the band. The band kicked the door open for me on so many levels, besides my history of playing music before the band, which enabled me to get into their good graces and end up producing their records. But one time we went to Soldier Field in Chicago, must have been around 94, I guess. And I was mixing sound and rehearsing the band a lot at that time. And we sat there in Soldier Field in the locker rooms, and the Grateful Dead were the main act. Jerry Garcia walked in. All the guys in the Grateful Dead walked in, and I was playing the accordion with Rick. We were hanging out, and Jerry said, "That's my favorite instrument." And me and him played Scarlet Begonias till the cows came home, as Rick would say. And that turned out to be Jerry Garcia's last show.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately. And so, and we probably played it 2 or 3 days in a row, because it took a lot to set up those big stadium shows, because there were 40,000 people outside and 40,000 people inside. The band opened up, played each night, 2 nights. And so then we put the version kind of arrangements that I did with Jerry playing with him. It was in a different key of A. The original, I think, is in G. And we played it with the accordion. So then the Chromatics recorded it. And what we did was we got the David Nelson Band to come in and have a big jam session with the Chromatics. And I asked Garth Hudson to come down, and Randy Shalanti, the other drummer, with the David Nelson Band and the Chromatics. And we recorded a great version of Scarlet Begonias with the horn section. Tom Bones Malone, he might have done the arrangement, from the Blues Brothers. And so we still play that. So we should I always like playing that, dedicated to Jerry. And it's a good song to play on the accordion. Plays
great
piano.
Memories to have, too.
Yeah, so that'll be what we're going to do at People's Pub. Though sometimes we have too much material to play, in one night. So if we get a good crowd, maybe they'll hold us over. We'll play the next night.
Now, when you said Rick, was that Rick Danko that you were talking about? Okay.
Yeah,
and
Rick Danko.
From what I understand, he gave you your name, Professor Louie, too. Is that true?
He did. Rick, out of everybody in the band, besides maybe Robbie, who I didn't work that much with Robbie, was a very good, astute fellow who realized how things can move forward. And he always had game plans. Rick always had game plans. And one game plan he had, the band used their middle names. Like Levon was not his first name. It was Mark Levon. And Garth Hudson, it was Eric Garth Hudson. Eric Garth Hudson. And Robbie Robertson was Jamie Robbie Robertson. So the band used their middle names. Now, Louis is my middle name.
Right.
So Rick got the idea. I mean, people always call me Louie anyway. Rick got the idea, put a little moniker on top of it, as piano players will have, like, Professor Longhair or Count Basie or Duke Ellington or any of the great piano players, not to compare myself with any of those greats, that's for sure. But Rick had the idea that we should put Professor Louie in front. And so me and Rick would play a lot of duo shows and go out of town and play in Europe for a weekend and come back. When we would do television and radio shows, because with Rick, he always got asked to do those interviews and play on there, and I'd be playing accordion or piano with him. He would say, "Take it, Professor Louie," which, I used to look at him like, that's pretty strange, but he made sure it got on the TV shows and the radio shows. And that was his insight to make me get behind the glass and get me more up front. And I got to hand it to him, because once he passed away in 2000, the end of 1999, that was pretty much the end of the band, because, between Richard and Rick passing on, that was really the soul of the band as far as I was concerned. And it was great to hang out with Levon, but we did a bunch, but it was time for me to move on. So when I would talk to the agents and managers and whomever would book shows, because Rick was gone and we did do a bunch with Garth, I would say, well, we have this band, the Chromatics, because the Chromatics was connected to the band because it was Levon Helm and the Chromatics, and Rick would use the Chromatics as his backup band, and I would use the Chromatics a lot in the recording studio to demo up songs with the band or maybe augment some of the recordings with them. Great players. So I would say, well, it's the Chromatics, and they said, no, you got to put Professor Louie in front, because the Chromatics are a nice name, but we always had Levon in the Chromatics or Rick Danko in the Chromatics or Garth Hudson in the Chromatics. So why don't you put Professor Louie in the front in the Chromatics? And I did, and luckily for us, we've been working as Professor Louie in the Chromatics since about 2000, 2001 to this day, and we have a big schedule, which is great.
That's excellent, yeah. I see you're all over the place. That's great.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate to keep it moving, and places still call, and the public is coming out to see us, and I can't encourage the public enough to buy advance tickets to all the shows of all the artists, because that's a tough one to get those advance sales, so the promoters feel comfortable about having you, and they feel comfortable about having the show, and they know how many people they have to hire. If you're playing a dinner theater where they got to have dinners, they know how much food to order, and it's become that, It wasn't like that when we originally played, but now it is.
Yeah. And we got to support the live musicians, because this AI stuff that's happening is going to give a lot of people some headaches.
It's giving a lot of people headaches, and you can't stop it. So, people have to make their own minds up of what they want to hear and what they believe in, and what's really real and what's not real. And do you believe that, you should go see things closest to the source or not? That when we were growing up, we always went to see artists that were closest to the source of where it started. That's an important angle.
And luckily, there are a lot of people who see the value in that and support the artists. And that's what we're trying to do with Music Legacy, is support the artists, make it profitable for them,
Well, Tony, that's why I joined Music Legacy. As you got a hold of me, said we got something called Music Legacy, and I said, I like that name, number one, and number two, once you explained to me what it was about, new artists, and everybody could communicate on it, it's just a great idea.
Yeah.
It's just a great idea.
Yep. So, if you know anybody that could benefit from an interview like this, to get the word out there about what they're doing, whether they're pros or even just beginners or a band that's just gotten together that's looking good, and we want to talk to them and help advance their careers. That's the main thing that we do here. So, anything else that we could talk about that might help?
Well, I think a lot of things, I'll tell you what really is a big help, shows like this, because people would not know about this or see this, and because of Facebook. Now, I'm not too sure of how many more social media places there are. I know they say TikTok, and I don't know that much about, I don't unfortunately know enough about TikTok, but originally when I know that started, you only had like a minute videos, or it was a short piece, but shows like this where you can get the word out on Facebook and post up the links has opened up a whole new world. And I think that's really great. I think that's a good one. So when people say to me, well, I don't get on Facebook, You don't have to post your political affiliations or any of that stuff. You don't want to get in arguments with people. You just want to spread the news about things.
Yeah.
So that's where I think sometimes that goes a little astray. But for us in the music world, it's been a tremendous communication situation, like YouTube. YouTube
Right.
is a great communicator.
Yeah,
And then you have your websites. And a lot of people don't go to people's websites like they used to, but I'm a big believer in going to people's websites and keep checking it out. So we keep our website up, ProfessorLouie.com, or the Chromatics, CROWMATIX, the Chromatics website. So it's good to go to the acts or the performers or whatever it is, whether it's an art show or artist, to go to their websites and see what they're putting on, because Facebook is, comes and goes. You put something on to promote a show, like whatever it is, it stays on there forever, but you got to search it, and it does rotate around a lot. But I think it's a great thing. I really, truly believe that this is a way you can get unknown artists heard, or unknown painters or book writers, composers. You can get them heard. So I really think it's great.
Yeah. Now, something that we're working on Music Legacy's platform, the community platform, is the event area, where you could post the dates and things of your event, and instead of it being pushed down like normal social media, as the date gets closer, it rises to the top. So this way, if somebody's traveling and they could say, I'm going to be in this town in California on these dates, let's see what's playing there. It's brand new, so there's not a lot of activity in there yet, but it's something that we'll be focusing on in the future.
Well, one of the things about that is, because we do have, fortunately for us, we do have a few people that work for us that help us with social media, because there's so much. As a player and a writer and a producer trying to make a living, there's so much out there, it's hard to do. So it's really good if it can just link up, or something can just link up. So when you post your show, it goes to all the avenues where the shows can get listed.
Yeah,
now,
these are all things we're working on in the background with Music Legacy. We'll show you how to do it, we'll help you do it, or we'll do it all for you. And these are things
it's a difficult situation, because our website, when it comes to the shows, is better than most websites explaining the shows, what they are, what we're going to play, and where you can get tickets. Because when you go to, say, like Bands in Town, or you go to those kind of places, which are great, are really good, and people link up to that, it doesn't really say much about the show. Like, for instance, if you go to our website and you get schedule, it'll say Professor Louie and the Chromatics in concert, list the date, give the name of the place that links to the name of the place, that tells you the address, that gives you the phone number, tells you the doors, and the time the show starts. And most of them, you got to keep clicking to find that. And I don't know how much people have patience to keep finding. So on our website, what we try to do is do the link where it'll go right to the ticket sale. So you don't have to go through a barrage of clicking and clicking and clicking. And that's why we still list it on our website, because a lot of people just go to one site and then goes to the other, but it'll just say the date and the town, won't even say the name of the place. Yeah. So I'm still trying to keep our public and our audience saying, oh, these guys are telling us what we want to know, but it's complicated because there's so many places to list, but
there's 1,000 places.
There is, and it's hard to get them all covered, but we'll definitely hook you up, though, in Music Legacy, because we're part of the Music Legacy family.
Great.
It becomes one big family and on the new record, we got a song called Steadfast and True. And to me, that's one of the most important songs on the record, because it explains about being part of a family. And I really, as time goes on, you write the lyrics, you put them out, and then, a year and a half after you write the song, you finally get playing it live in front of an audience. It takes, because we don't like to play too many things that aren't on a CD we recorded. Because inevitably, this is funny, whatever you play live that isn't on a CD, people will come up and say, gee, where can I buy that song? I really like that song. So we try to only play songs that you can find either on a streaming site or digitally or on a CD. And so sometimes it takes a while to play the songs and get comfortable, because it's a different medium recording them and playing in front of an audience and learning how to put them across to an audience.
Yeah.
That's a seminar in general.
And just seeing what kind of traction you get from the audience, right?
Yeah, and find out how do you change it live to make it work better. Because when you're performing a song live and you see the audience start talking to each other or wandering around, or you get a round of indifference applause, which is what I like to call it, you got to think about, well, I don't want to drop the song. I want to play it every night. But now how can I get people engaged in that song? Sometimes you can't pay attention because if you're doing something original and they don't, because you could always play cover songs and people get sucked in. That's their favorite song. You could always do that. But to engage people in an original piece of music they never heard, that's a challenge, and that's where I say, like on this record, the Crawling Around record, we can play the record straight down. And when I feel people may start losing engagement, you hit them with a song they know or a song they may be familiar with an artist kind of writing. And that's what we did on this record, somewhat.
Nice.
And
and
it's not selling out.
Even their favorite songs, they had to hear it for the first time sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I remember playing with the band, and we would do a song like Blind Willie McTell, and people would be wandering around. Now, that's a great Bob Dylan song. And until we put it out on that Jericho record and started getting traction with Rolling Stone calling it one of the greatest band records ever made and one of the greatest band songs ever recorded, I can remember playing Blind Willie McTell and nobody paying attention to it at all.
Wow.
And then Rick Danko coming to me and saying, well, we used to play The Weight. Nobody paid attention to it much either.
Really?
So now we play The Weight. Every phone goes up in the air,
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I got with the band in 85 or 86, I never dreamed I'd still be part of that legacy to this day and being one of the closest people performing live that lived with those guys for, 15 or 16 years to learn that feeling and how it really went. Because, when those players played, they broke the mold on those guys. They were the original musicians, the original artists, like the gospel field or like the blues field. There was nobody like Muddy Waters, and if you played with Muddy Waters or you witnessed them live, something happened that changed your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, and that's going back to the live music, real musicians compared to the AI. And unfortunately, a lot of corporate stuff, I think, is going to be AI music. But I think you're going to have a lot of people who really want to support the artists. And it's hard enough now, what I should say is before AI, this is just going to make it a little bit more difficult. So we're looking to get people to band together and support the artists. And that's
it. Well, that's why we're hoping people get to, know who Professor Louie and the Chromatics are, and check out the history of who we are. Check out all the songs we've recorded, because we have 18 albums out at least, and videos. And check your show out, and we keep spreading the musical legacy and all the other podcasts that are out there, because there's some really great ones and some really interesting people being interviewed. The other thing that happens is you don't have to, and it kicks the door open for people who aren't quite well known. And there are people out there that are still asking people who aren't quite known to do interviews, and that's really important because you need people to help you. You can't do it by yourself.
That's it. Yeah, that's one of the things that we see happens most in the platform is people connecting with people, and that's important, because especially if you're new in the business, just by signing in free to Music Legacy, you're connected to hundreds of people in. Right now, it's 21 countries worldwide. Those are connections that you could have to maybe open up for one of those bands, or somebody needs a part on their new album for whatever instrument you play. Those people are in there, and we got sound engineers, photographers, videographers. So any of that stuff is accessible in there. And I know it's all new and everything, but I think it's going to be a big thing. It really is.
I'd say it definitely is. You just got to keep, longevity is the key to everything with this, I think. Because there's so much out there that you need to keep it rolling and keep finding the new avenues that get created to get it out there. Now, the AI thing, I don't deal much with AI. I see it out there, and I see what's happening. But, you know, you got to be careful of getting to the lowest common denominator, and especially when it comes to business, because that's always the bottom line. But, you know, you have to, and all the artists have to just bully through it and go through it, because not everything can be the bottom line. And you know, you have to share things, and you know, the bottom line is nice, and you need to make a living, but sometimes you just have to get above it.
Yep. You got to do the right thing.
Yeah, sometimes that's what occurs. You know, if you don't care for, like, we get calls for shows. Sometimes when people ask us to be a benefit for something, and I'm always a little bit careful of what the benefit is for and what they represent and who it is. Always. And that's why I got to always hand it to the members of the band, always, you know, being supportive of the guys who help them. And they help kick the door open for us. And that's why on the shows, I always mention each player that's playing with us. And as you noticed, I mentioned the players that are with the Chromatics now first before we got rolling, because I think it's really important that if I were to go away a little bit, they might be out of a job and making a living.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, people like Hubert Summerlin and some of the great Pinetop Perkins that played with all the greats. When Muddy died and different people died, they were out of work and ended up having some bad times. And luckily, there was a little bit of revival, and all the great blues societies that are out there brought those guys back. That's why the blues societies are very important. And Long Island's got a good, strong one. And it's good, real good, you know, with Carrie, Carney, and all the guys that are part of it. You know, I know them all. Falzarano, you know, they're all part of that.
We'll be interviewing Kerry next week.
Well, that's really good. Well, tell them I said hello, and tell them to keep it up, as they say.
All right.
There's some music you can link to. There's videos that are there. There's guys who play. There's a lot of history there. And WoodstockRecords.com is our record label that we started years ago. And there's some great music on that also, WoodstockRecords.com. That's another story altogether. But and I'm hoping, I know that the Music Legacy is based in Long Island. So I'm hoping that on Saturday, October 11th, people come to the People's Pub. We seem to be doing a great job in Bayport, New York. They come to the show. It's an early show. The doors are at 7 and gigs at 8. Come on down, say hello to us. Tell us that you saw us at the Music Legacy. Come on after the show or on break, mostly after the show. Tell me you saw the Music Legacy, and that knows, Tony, we're getting out there to people in your neighborhood.
Yep. I'm pretty sure I will be there, almost 100%. I'm planning on it, so.
Well, if you got to set up a table to put out some stuff, be our guest to do that, you know, because we do that wherever we go. We have our, you know, merch table, and anybody who's supporting the arts that are in the neighborhood, come on down and support the arts right along with us.
Music Legacy International.